Sorry,
I
were you
no,
gonna say something? No, you weren't
oh,
gonna
no,
say.
sorry.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
No,
No, no, no. Go on, go on.
I don't know. It's nothing.
Okay.
Uh, it's it's November 5th.
It is that.
Just so everybody has some context. Um.
I'll start the music.
Okay.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Save Your Game. I, as always, am pushing up roses. This is my very special, semi-depressed co-host, Matt Ockamp. Hey, Matt.
Hey, are you gonna leave all our false starts in?
No. Well,
Why?
maybe.
Yeah, I think maybe you
Maybe.
should. I think people need to know where we're at today.
This is where we're at, okay?
I've already started drinking. It's 6 p.m.
Wow. That's not too bad. That's not. It could be. I'd be a
Yeah.
little more concerned if you're like, "Hey, it's 11 a.m. and I'm having a Jack and Coke." I'll be like, "What?"
Here's the thing. Okay, Roses, I am drinking. My friend of mine, good friend, went to Mexico. She just got back,
Mm-hmm.
and like a week ago,
Mm-hmm.
she gave me a thing. There's like 6 of them, and they're in these plastic bottles. They don't have ingredients on them. They are called
Okay.
creme de tequila.
That sounds disgusting.
They're cream tequila. They're cream
No.
tequila.
No. No.
They taste like bad Irish cream. Like, hold on, I'm sipping
No.
it.
Wait, is that what
Oh
you're
my
drinking?
God. No, I'm drinking a beer, but I have
Okay.
these. And I'm drinking one as we speak right now. So like, it tastes. Imagine Irish cream, but like with. Okay, Irish cream, but with one of those coffee, like hard candies dissolved into it.
Actually, that
Because I
doesn't
wouldn't
sound
say
too bad.
it doesn't taste like coffee. It tastes like
Oh.
fake coffee, and then like an added like I don't know, like pond water aftertaste.
Okay. You've ruined it. You almost
And
had
it's
me on board because I like coffee flavors. I like
and
coffee
it's
hard candy.
and it stings like tequila. So like your
Oh,
first
good.
taste is like okay, and then within a second you're like, oh, I don't know, and then 2 seconds later you're like, okay,
No.
that was bad. So I'm gonna drink this whole thing right now and
Ew.
refresh my election map, and we'll be ready to go and talk about fucking adventure games.
Adventure games. I mean, I'm ready to disassociate into another dimension.
People listen. I'm so pissed, Roses.
Okay.
People listening to this already fucking know, you know?
Yeah. We don't.
They've known for a week.
Yeah, we just have to sit here and record with anxiety.
I know. And they're laughing at us, or they're not listening to this because they're dead. The whole world is over.
Oh God. We're
Mhm.
here to, in the case of everything has gone sour, to cheer everyone up with our
Sour like
anger.
Sour like a creme de tequila.
Ew. Stop. I don't like it.
So, what have you been playing lately?
So I got deathly ill this week. But despite, so I couldn't play a lot because I couldn't sit at my desktop. But I did manage to play and finish. Oh, am I allowed to say this? Yeah, I am. It's okay.
Yes,
Sorry.
You are absolutely. It is out now.
Right. Okay. So I had gotten a Steam key for Death of the Reprobate, one of the Joe Richardson games. He just offered it to me unprovoked. I'm like, thank you. And so during like a moment where I was feeling semi-human, I just booted it up and I played the whole thing. It was around 2.5 hours. So yeah, that's what I played. That's what I played this week. I started and finished Death of the Reprobate. Reprobate. Oh my God. Why are his titles insane? I'm sorry. Can never remember them. And yeah, I
Uh,
enjoyed it. It was a little lowbrow for me personally. That doesn't mean that I don't
yeah,
appreciate the humor. I do. There's definitely funny things in that game, and man, it's like a feat of it's like a masterpiece of art. Honestly, it looks so cool.
yeah. So I also played Death of the Reprobate this week. Um, I think it's really good.
Oh, I'm
I think
glad.
I mean I haven't finished it yet.
Okay,
Well, that's you can finish the game at any point that you want. I don't think we should talk too much about spoil. Maybe we can talk about it a little bit more on a future episode. But
sure.
uh, you can finish the game whenever you want, and you just get, I guess, the bad ending.
Right.
But uh, and the ending is wild. The,
I told you. I'm like, dude, it
the
goes
ending is
off.
so crazy. But I immediately reloaded my save and went and like I'm trying to get through it. There's so many fun. You can. Here's my advice for people playing this game: try everything because he has thought of everything, and it's all so fucking funny. There's a point where I'll just say this: there's a point where Ophelia it like you that is laying in the pond just staring up
Yeah.
at the sky, like the painting of Ophelia.
Yeah, the
Because
painting. Yeah.
what he does with these games is he just takes Renaissance paintings and Byzantine paintings and classic paintings. Um, I'm sure there are other eras in there, but that's the bulk of it. Mostly Renaissance, and it basically clips out little pieces of them,
Yeah.
and then every scene is like a collage, and they look so good. I don't know how he does it so well. He like animates them,
Yeah.
and he mixes them together where sometimes you wouldn't even, because in every game there's also a gallery where you can go look at the original paintings that he used, all of them.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll see like a landscape and a house that's there in the game is not there in the original painting. You're like, holy shit! Like, it looks so good, so seamless in what he did. And sometimes it looks so not seamless, so just like jammed in there. And that's also very funny.
It is fun. It honestly,
Um,
I didn't think I would like it at first because I'm like,
mhm,
how am I gonna get a cozy feeling out of this?
mhm.
But I did. I did end up like, oh, this is the world that I'm in,
Yeah.
and these are the characters that I'm around, for
But
better or worse.
so there's a scene. So just to illustrate, there's a scene where you are laying next to Ophelia. And this has nothing to do with the game. This has nothing to do with solving a puzzle. But you're carrying a giant marrow, not like bone marrow, but like a type of squash.
Yeah, a
And
food. Yeah.
if you use marrow with Ophelia, your dude just places it on her belly and she sinks under the water and she's gone.
I
And there's
didn't
no
know.
reason for it. And she's just gone for the rest of the game. Uh, you can
Oh
also
my
just like
gosh.
I've discovered about 7 people so far that if you use the hand, because it's got like a verb wheel where if you click on
Yeah.
anything, you get a hand, you get an eye, and you get a mouth.
Mhm.
And usually that's like talk to, interact with, and look at.
Mhm.
But sometimes it's other things. Like sometimes you spit randomly on something. Sometimes you
I
will,
spit on so many things. I spit on so many people, honestly.
and a lot of people, if you use the hand, he'll just slap them
Yeah.
for no reason. And oftentimes it doesn't really affect the game, and they're just like, "Hey, like, why'd you
Hi.
do that?" Or it just gives them the double middle finger that they do in England, the like
Yeah.
the V, whatever the fuck that is.
Yeah, yep. The backwards peace sign,
Is it
basically.
"fuck you twice"? Is that what it's supposed to mean?
I don't actually know because 'cause I've never used it for anything.
It's a guy did it to me when I was trying to drive a rental car through Scotland.
What?
And a guy gave me the double middle finger, the
Wow.
double finger, I guess because I was driving shitty, because I was in fucking Scotland and I didn't know how to fucking drive in Scotland. Um,
Oh, no.
but it actually kind of felt cool. You know, rather than get the finger to get the double.
The double?
Um,
Yeah.
felt like I was really part of the culture.
Wow.
But so I just say try everything because there's so many funny things he puts in there. Roses, you told me about something really funny I didn't realize.
What did I?
Which
What
is
was
when
that?
you
What did I
right
say?
click at any point. If you right click,
Oh yeah.
he just does a little backflip.
Yes. Yeah. He just does a little flippy. I do that
Again,
on like every screen
for no reason. He
for
just
no
does a little
reason.
backflip. And there's just so much stuff like that in the game that is. I agree with you. A lot of it's really lowbrow, and I'm not a huge fan of that kind of just like crude lowbrow humor.
Yeah.
But there's enough in these games that's just so absurd
Yeah.
and so like bald-faced absurd. Like he'll
Yeah.
do something absolutely bizarre and the character will just have a straight face and everybody will react to it very straight.
Yeah.
And it always makes me laugh.
Yeah. It's definitely, and I can also tell that this is just like a game made from pure like passion and desire to
Mhm.
just make just whatever he wants. It's
Yeah.
clear to me that the dev is doing this because he loves it and not to get, validation from people who play it.
It feels like a little playground. Like it's like when you are looking at a work where it just feels like it was a playground for the creator.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about like this is a weird comparison, but I feel the same way about like the Wheel of Time books. They just feel like a playground for
Mhm.
Robert Jordan, right?
Mhm.
Like he just had a bunch of toys in a in a box that he made, and he's just like moving them around like color forms, which is
Yeah.
a reference that only people over the age of 30 will understand.
I feel like in that way, like just being reminded of like putting like toys almost on like a board.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Joe was doing.
Yeah.
It's like he was playing his own little game, and this is fun for him.
Like I remember being a kid and getting a bunch of cereal boxes and cutting out all the mascots and stuff.
Oh,
And I like it was never as fun as I wanted it to be, but like trying at least to play with them like toys.
yeah,
But it feels like that's what he's doing with
yeah,
Renaissance and Byzantine and classic paintings. He's just cutting pieces out and playing with them like little toys, like color forms. Again,
yeah.
I'm making reference to color forms twice, and again, most of our audience is going to Google color forms, and I don't even know if you Googling color forms will bring up color forms.
It does not. Well, no, it does.
Oh, it does.
It does.
It
It does.
does.
It does. It
But it
does.
would still take a lot of research to understand what you're looking
You can find
at.
like a new color forms on Amazon for $27.90.
Oh shit! You can
I just wanted to put
still
that
do
out
color.
there.
They still make color forms. There's bluey color forms.
There's Bluey, definitely Bluey.
Holy
Yep.
cow! And they do board games of color forms now. You can play Monopoly with color forms.
Oh well, definitely got to do that.
Wild. Yeah. Okay, guys. So that's our recommendation this week. Go get Monopoly color forms. That's our game.
For $7.90,
Uh,
probably
we're a
more.
part of the Adventure Game Hotspot Network. Check us out on Instagram. Now, Roses,
Yes.
I'm gonna need you to do me a favor
Okay.
and play
Oh no.
the
The spooky theme?
no the
Okay.
Playdate with Matt theme.
Theme B?
Theme B.
Here we go.
Playdate with Matt.
Hey everybody, it's Playdate with Matt. It's a segment in the podcast Save Your Game, hosted by me, Matt Ocamp, and it's
And
where I
listened
talk
by
about
me.
it's where I talk about games that I played on my little Playdate by a cool little device by the company Panic. I played a game that was very interesting on the Playdate.
Okay. Positive interesting or negative interesting?
Positive interesting. It was a game called Eyeland.
Okay.
And Eyeland, it's another one of these what passes for a point and click, I guess, on
Okay.
a play date, right? Where you can't point and you can't click. But you have like a 2D character that walks around and basically you interact with objects by like walking into them or
Right.
by walking up to them and pressing a button, right? Because you only have the two buttons and your crank and a D-pad.
Right.
So you're just this little blob and you're trapped on a little island, and scattered around the island are like thoughts, right? And you walk up to them and walk into them, and you get like a little caption of whatever your character's thinking when he's standing in that place or when they're standing in that place.
Yeah.
And that was cute, and it was very like wistful. This guy's trapped on this island, and he's kind of thinking about what it would be like to leave it, but he's like also kind of satisfied with where he's at, curious about leaving.
Hmm.
And he goes to sleep, and he enters this weird dreamland where you're just you're on this like little adventure that is, it's like a really well structured linear almost point and click, right? Where you always
Hmm.
know where you have to go next. There's always some hint as to like, oh, check out the top right corner of the map, and you
Yeah.
go there, and a lot of these places are structured like a series of rooms that each have a specific type of puzzle. For example, like there's one where it's a room with a bunch of gaps, and you walk over to the gap, and there's like little machines that fire you across the gap, and so you have to kind of look at the room and figure out which gaps. Like how do you get to this one corner where there's a button, right? And so like some gaps you have to shoot across, and sometimes you don't shoot across the gap, you just let yourself fall to the platform below, right? So it's like it's kind of a little logic puzzle, a little spatial logic puzzle, and there's a lot of stuff like that. Or like there's a gravity one where there's like a room with a bunch of ladders, and when you walk into an arrow, it switches gravity to that direction.
Okay.
And so you have to kind of like look at the room and be like, okay, which arrows should I walk into to get to the switch at the end?
I would be so bad at that. Oh my god, I would
um,
be freaking out. Like, I don't know
and
what
so
to
you're doing
do.
almost like a series of fetch quests that are a little bit gated by these spatial reasoning logic puzzles.
Yeah.
And the game is really, again, like really thoughtful. Everywhere you go, it kind of knows what you're thinking and what you're curious about, and there's something there to tell you.
Yeah.
And there's also it also like the wistfulness almost reminds me kind of like an Adventure Time light.
Oh, that's nice.
It's got a similar sort of vibe, and I don't know, it was really cute, it was really fun. I liked it a lot. It's called Eyeland.
Eyeland.
um you get it on, you can, I don't know if you can buy it through the Playdate,
Like,
like catalog. I think you have to get it through itch.io and
no, I
sideload
think you
it. But
can. I have it up on my desktop, and I'm on play.date/game/island.
oh, so you can get it on the catalog. Okay, cool. I sideloaded it on, but maybe it was up on itch.io and then later added to the catalog. And so if you get the itch.io version, you still have to sideload it. I don't know. But that's all I played on the Playdate this week. You guys might notice there hasn't been a lot of Playdates with Matt recently, and I'll talk about that a little more in our Q&A segment. So if you
Heck
want to get us
yeah!
out of this, we'll talk about
You wanna
what the rest of the episode.
get us out of this,
Get us out of this!
Roses.
Get me out! Get me out!
Playdate with Matt.
I always do a little dance when that theme is going.
That's a good little theme. So what are you doing? So what are we doing today?
Today, we are answering burning hot, juicy questions about adventure games.
They burnt the mailbag up, and we
Yeah,
don't have a mailbag anymore.
they're all on the floor and stuff. It's actually kind of a thing.
Yeah, they burn it up, and now we need to go buy a new mailbag because your questions were too hot.
We can't even answer some of these without like an NC-17
Yeah.
rating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of them some of them burnt through the floor.
Gross.
And now they're in the basement, and we don't go to the basement.
Actually, my neighbors are in the basement, so thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks.
And
Yeah,
we also
we're gonna
have a special guest with us today.
yeah, we're going to be bringing on a special guest expert, which you guys are going to know who the special guest is because it'll be in the title of the episode, but we're not going to say it. We're going to pretend like that's not true.
Matt's pulling a roses and pretending like everything is secret. Like you can't say it out loud.
So, why don't we go? We're going to go answer some listener questions on the other side of Cranky
Matt.
I'm bad at I need to write these ahead of time.
Okay. Hey everyone, welcome back to Save Your Game. I hope you had a good break. I'm Pushing Up Roses. This is my co-host, Matt Aucamp. Hey, Matt.
Hey! Oh, God. We're doomed. We're doomed!
Matt's doing great. You know what would cheer you up, Matt?
The cold
No,
comfort
whatever you're
of
going to
an
say is no.
everlasting grave. Oh, okay.
No, I was going to say answering some viewer questions.
Oh, yeah, I'd love
that. Yeah. We haven't done a Q&A in a hot minute, and we've got some great questions, so I think we should answer them. So I'm going to start with a question from Dean. Dean wants to know if there is anywhere public our list of games are, if they want to revisit like a specific game discussion. And we provide lists like in our show notes.
Yeah,
but it's not searchable. So they want to know if there's anywhere where there's a searchable one.
Oh yeah, that's tough.
Tough,
every time. Yeah, every game, in case you're a listener and you don't know, if you haven't looked at the show notes, all of our show notes contain a list of every game we discussed, oftentimes even if we just mention it for like a second.
Yeah.
But we don't have a searchable list. Unfortunately, we both have a lot of other stuff going on and like
I'm
jobs.
An artist.
And I have like a full-time shitty job and stuff. So, like that seems like it would take a long time to compile. Maybe it wouldn't.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to make like those like little wikis that people make. But if any of our listeners wanted to, we'd be eternally grateful. We would thank you on the show. But only if you're passionate enough that it'd be fun for you to do. All right. Moving on. This listener, Mariana, from Uruguay.
Wow.
Very cool. Asked us a very specific question. After playing the Blackwell games, have you ever read Joe Gould's Secret? It's an amazing and very short book. I have not. I don't know about this.
I don't either, yeah.
Joe Gould's Secret is a book by Joseph Mitchell in 1965. I actually don't know the connection. Is there... I see like, it's in Greenwich Village.
Mm-hmm.
This is in New York. And the ghost that follows you around in Blackwell is Joey.
Yeah.
But I don't know if... maybe I'm just not remembering. But I don't know the connection.
Yeah, I don't either.
Hey, Mariana, write us back and explain...
yourself.
Explain yourself. Explain what the connection is between Joe Gould's Secret and Blackwell.
Yeah, I'm curious
again,
now.
Maybe we're just forgetting. Maybe if we replayed, we'd be like, oh, but it'd be easier if you just wrote us and told us.
We're lazy.
Okay.
So this question is from Wondering About Wishbone in New Mexico.
Oh, yeah. Hey, more people write in with pen names, pseudonyms.
Please do.
Rules. Okay.
Yeah, please do.
You can also include your regular name if you want to hear us say it, but like we'll read both. Okay, go ahead.
They want to know what we believe makes a good educational adventure game for kids. And I'm just going to answer this very quickly because I have a very strong belief. because this is my experience growing up. The only thing that held my attention, educational games, were if it was intertwined with a mystery. So, Carmen Sandiego,
Yeah.
Eagle Eye Mysteries, the original Eagle Eye Mysteries had a lot of educational things. So did, Eagle Eye Mysteries in London too. Both had some edutainment. I do recall having a good time with like Math Blaster and like Number Muncher. I don't really know what made them good other than I was young enough to be amused by literally anything.
Mhm. Right. Again, it is a big topic, but
Yeah.
what I'll say is I think the same thing about all children's media. Don't talk down to them, right?
Yeah.
Kids aren't, there's things that'll put off kids, right? Like you don't want to discourage them or frustrate them, but kids don't mind a challenge. They don't mind like encountering words that they
Yeah.
don't know. They respond to a complex story. Like,
Mhm.
don't talk down to kids. Kids want to experience art in the same way adults do.
Yeah.
And you know, that is my big overarching. We should maybe do an episode about this at some point.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
my big overarching kind of answer to this question is just don't talk down to them
Yeah. And add mystery for me.
and add mystery. All right, Brian asks. This is 100% for roses.
Okay.
Brian doesn't say this, but if you could make Grim Fandango 2, when and where would you say it? Said it.
So, I don't think I would do a direct sequel from the end of Grim Fandango 1. I think that sets a weird expectation. I was actually really happy with how the game buttoned. So,
Mhm.
I would rather see a prequel of Grim Fandango. Like, finally we know how Manny Calavera got his job at doing what was it called, the Department of Death, right?
Right,
Because
right.
he clearly did something, and anybody who works there clearly did something that's keeping them there from moving on. So I would love to see more of that. We can use a lot of characters that were already in Grim. And yeah, I'm happy with how Grim Fandango ended. I like the mystery of it. I would rather have a prequel if they did a Grim Fandango 2, personally.
Interesting. I think it'd be kind of cool to see somebody trying to come back, trying to make the reverse journey that Manny
Yeah.
makes. Like trying to come back, maybe like trying to get back to the land of the living. I know there's so many stories that have that.
Yeah.
But you could explore other aspects of all the different locations in the land
Uh-huh.
of the dead and explore them from a very different angle and with a very different like conflict. So just a new protagonist.
Yeah.
Trying to go again the opposite direction.
That'd be cool.
Would be interesting. Okay. Do you want to read this question by Sophie?
Yes. So Sophie asks, oh, I see. There's one for me and there's one for both. Okay. If you play Broken Sword, Shadow of the Templars, please play the original or reforged when it comes out, as the director's cut has a slider puzzle.
Too
No!
late. Too late.
Oh, it's a
Too
warning.
Too late.
Yeah, too late.
Too
You're a little
late.
too late, Sophie. And yeah, I was
we did
angry.
complain about that, and we did complain about it.
Oh yeah, I hate slider. I don't even get me started. Don't even get me started on slider puzzles. I'm gonna have an aneurysm. Okay, for both of us, which setting would you like to see in adventure games? So one of the reasons they like Dagger is because it is set in a museum, and I think that is a great question, and it really makes sense if you liked that in Dagger, because Dagger is a closed circle, Agatha Christie-esque murder mystery. Those are my favorite. I love closed circle tropes. And yes, I love the museum as well. So I think kind of piggybacking off of that, I wouldn't mind revisiting a ship, but not not Titanic Adventure at a Time, because we all know what's going to happen there. And definitely not like Leisure Suit Larry. I would almost like, I want Dagger of Amon Ra on a ship.
Oh, I've got a really cool game for you.
You do?
It's called Return of the Obra Dinn.
Ah! I can't even believe that I walked into that somehow. Can't escape it. But yeah, that's one setting I really really like. I like closed circles, so I
Mhm.
like settings where you are stuck here now, and I know that's harder to do in modern storytelling. But some of my favorites are haunted houses. I like museums a lot. Actually, I wish there were more museum settings. I like ship settings a lot. Yeah, I actually really like kind of simple maps like that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think a museum where you really get to explore and solve puzzles with and get like intimate with the exhibits. Like the exhibits are
Yeah.
more like that would be very cool. I feel like that was
Yeah.
underdone in
Yes.
Dagger of Amon Ra.
Yes, and you know, obviously resources were limited for
Yeah.
Dagger. But like think about if we did it now. You know,
Yeah.
if we made a museum setting, we could make it. I mean, museums are huge. I live in Chicago. I live in Chicago, where there's a lot of museums, and I could just, man, oh man,
there's
like a murder mystery adventure game in the Shut Aquarium. Come on
there's
now.
some cool there's some cool like the room like settings in so like the room VR has a
Yes,
cool museum section, and
yeah,
Mechanica Museum has a cool museum
nice.
kind of setting. But yeah,
Yeah, I
so
love that.
I would love to see an adventure game that takes place in kind of like a superhero-y world,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Like, and not maybe, well, it'd be interesting to play as a superhero. Like, I can't think of a non-action game with a superhero. Maybe I get there's those Fatman games, but
Yeah, yeah,
those
yeah.
those weren't amazing.
Right.
Adventures of Fatman. But I think it'd be cool. Yeah, like adventure games in a superhero world. Like I remember this is one of like Ron Gilbert's rules about how to make adventure games not suck, right? Is put
Mhm.
them in a setting where like people want to be anyway,
Yes. Yeah.
right? Don't just like tell them you want to be here because I made my game here. Like put it in a place where people already are interested.
Yeah.
Um although to completely break that rule, I know I just said what I said, but to completely break that rule, I would actually love to see more quiet, bucolic English countryside games
Ooh, I love that.
like
Like Hobbs Barrow.
Hobbs Barrow, or
Yeah.
even like medieval era Europe
Mhm.
games, like not necessarily knights and chivalry, but like dealing with citizenry and plagues and the religious turmoil and like I would love to see that more kind of like the Plague Doctor of Wippra, but
Yeah.
like not a 1 hour long game, but like a full game with a like more deeply explored.
Nice.
All right, our next question is unsigned. It says, "Hello, Matt and Roses. They
Hi.
hey, they say they've been playing a lot of Hitman and noticed that it's not strictly an adventure game, but there's a lot of similarities with point and click, like
Mhm.
puzzle solving, and it gives some examples. And since Portal is our highest ranked title on the best adventure games of all time list, they were wondering how loose or rigid the definition is for what can count as an adventure game."
Oh, I'm very loose.
All right.
Unsure
Um,
if we'll leave in the podcast or not. Yeah.
I'm remarkably
You know
rigid right
what?
now.
That's a difficult question. It actually is. I'm not being
Yeah, like how
facetious.
do you define an adventure game? Like we have
Yeah.
talked about this a bunch. There is one dude who I know who has a great like metric for what counts as an adventure game. So I'm gonna like give him a little. I'm gonna call him up right now.
Yeah, could you call him on your phone?
Yeah, Roses, do you wanna explain to the people his bona fides, and then when I get him up on the phone, we'll
Get him on the phone. We do this via the phone.
yeah, we record via the phone. We record via the phone, so I'm gonna conference call him in.
Okay.
And do you want to give the bona fides, and
Yes.
then when he gets in, we'll say his name.
So joining us today is Josh Cleveland from adventure game Hotspot, and he is the creator slash owner of adventure game Hotspot. He also put together the adventure game Fanfare, which was a convention for all things adventure games and adventure game devs and fans. He has a podcast that revolves around adventure games, and he is an enthusiast, much like us. We all love adventure games here. So, what better person do you have on our podcast than Josh? Matt, have you contacted Josh? Have you made contact?
He's picked up the phone, it seems like, but he hasn't said a word yet.
Joshua
Joshua Cleveland, are you there?
I'm just gonna ruin your bit. I'm
just ruin it.
You can edit this out if you want it. Bits gone. But when Roses said I'm very loose, I'm sorry, I couldn't. I had to bust up laughing. So if you heard a ghost in the room, it wasn't a ghost. It was actually me. Yeah,
we record on a 4-dimensional phone. So sometimes,
really cool.
So sometimes we can comment on stuff that was said before we were ever on the call.
Actually, that was all just added in post to add to everything. Okay, so the question, good question as to what an adventure game really is. So I think we could just go back with the tribunal.
Yeah,
we can call it. We need the story because stories rocks, exploration, and puzzles. You got to have a puzzle in there. And hold on, let me turn my phone on silent because
because we're doing it via phone.
Because we're there, we're on it. Because we're here on
it. So yeah, you have to have those three elements. And obviously, when adventure games started, back in the Wii years before we were born, it was text adventures, text only. And then as technology started to grow, you added some pictures, some colors, VGA, sound, all of this. So you end up having the point and click. You had all of these beautiful little things that were added to. So obviously what an adventure is, in my opinion, is that it started to expand. And so nowadays, with technology continuing to expand, I do believe that there are some action style games that I do consider to be an adventure game.
As long as they have those three pillars: the story, the puzzle, and the exploration.
I do have a little bit of an added question for Josh. Because I do agree about story, but I also think that when we went from text-based to adding imagery, like let's say Mystery House, even King's Quest 1, there was really no grand story there. So I guess it was really more exploration to me. So how much is the story involved, and can the story just be an idea? You know what I mean? So the idea of King's Quest is the king has died, you are the next king in line, go solve all these things. Is that a good enough idea to count as a grand adventure game story?
Well, I think it has to be a primary aspect, especially now that we can tell a complete story.
Yeah.
Your options were limited back then. You can't have a 10-page, prologue in a game that explains where you're
maybe
at.
Don't.
It would be actually 10 pages of text, which would be a big problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of the things that I absolutely need for it to be, like I said, story has to be key. I mean, you can have action in the game, in my opinion, but as long as it's not the primary focus. I for instance, you don't want to have Doom guy, trying to save off hell type of story, or Duke Nukem trying to, shoot pig cop story while searching for sex or something like that. So yeah, action can be part of it with the primary. As long as the others are the primary objective.
Yeah, something maybe like the Zelda games, because they're, to me, the Zelda games do have a lot of action, but really I don't play the Zelda games for action. I play it for this vibe of grand adventure, it's almost like a vibe for me. Like if I'm getting that vibe. Okay, Josh, do you remember Home of the Underdogs? I'm sorry to all the
yeah.
viewers who have heard me
Oh
talk
my
about this for
goodness.
every single time.
Oh, the nostalgia! I still see
This
the
is gonna
purple.
turn into a King's Quest 5
I am so
cheese puzzle
sorry.
thing. Okay, no, go ahead.
So on Home of the Underdogs, I've mentioned this before. They used to have categories of games where you could choose which category you wanted. And one of the categories, and Matt already knows this, was called Grand Adventure. And I really like clung on to that as a descriptor for adventure games. Like, do I feel like I am on a grand adventure? And even with like the limited story of King's Quest, I did. I did feel like I was on a grand adventure. Whereas in Doom, I just feel angry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. By definition, there is a story there, but that's so far down the line of importance.
Yeah.
When the chapter is called "Knee Deep in the Dead," yeah, I don't think that's an adventure.
I do think so. Okay, so first of all, I do think King's Quest has a story. I think you just kind of have to go back into the history of
Yeah.
storytelling to find it, right? Because if you read like old, okay, if you read like old myths, old pieces of literature like, I don't know, Beowulf or Gilgamesh or whatever, there would be themes running throughout
Right.
it, but a lot of it would just be a guy going out and doing a series of stuff.
Right.
And it's not like those things were tied to each other. They're just kind of fucking random.
Yeah.
You know what
and
I mean?
I guess that in itself tells the story, right? So in
Yes.
King's Quest, if we're in the fisherman's house or whatever, that's telling part of the story.
The story is guy goes out and is a hero. And like being a hero just means doing a bunch of stuff and sticking to a code of ethics while he does it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is present in King's Quest, even though it doesn't like, you couldn't make a movie or a TV show out of the original King's Quest.
But we should try.
But you could stick it into a book of medieval chivalry tales,
Well,
and it wouldn't
it
feel
was
too out of place.
kind of going back to the original like text adventures that we were talking about earlier. You remember you're under the constraints of early days. There wasn't a
Yeah.
lot of opportunities to really tell the story or to give you much of a story. And there's hardly anything going on in King's Quest, like at all. The precedent had been set, and they pretty much just kept it going throughout the
Yeah.
rest of the line. We are going to be telling an overall broad adventurous story while mixing in a bunch of, hey, wink wink, you already know these fairy tales with it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
I also want to. You also said something interesting about like the main focus, right?
Mhm.
So Doom, or let's say Wolfenstein 3D, the classic.
Love
shoot 'em
that
up, but
game.
it does have puzzles, right? It does have exploration, and it has about as much story as King's Quest 1, right? But the focus is the shooting people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The focus isn't any of those three things. And
Mhm.
so is that how, when you pick what's going to be on adventure game Hotspot and what makes it and what doesn't, do you have like what do you do to draw the line?
Okay, and this is a really difficult question, because as you probably know, well, I know you know, Matt, because you
I
write
know.
for this. Adventure game fans are straight up, they will fight you. They will punch you right in the throat if you add anything outside of point and click.
Yeah.
They will push your chin up and karate chop you, like, right, and they will bully you, like, if you do. So it is very difficult to cater to well, first of all, I love those type of adventures best myself.
Yeah.
However, we also don't want the industry to die. We don't want the genre to die. There's a reason why I do not monetize the website or the YouTube channels or anything like that. It's because like I want to bring attention to it and I want to
Mhm.
keep it going. So we do have
Mhm.
to add a little life and breathe life, so long as it's on as long as it has those three. We don't want to alienate the core fans or to kind of take away any authority that we have. We don't want to clout chase or anything like
Mhm.
that. So we try to avoid anything that's just legitimately come on. If
Yeah.
you say come on, it's not going to be on there.
Okay. All right. So it's almost more like you
You just
feel it.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
There
yeah.
are
Oh yeah.
definitely some purists out there in the adventure game
And
community that only will play a certain and Josh was bringing up point and click specifically. I would even say that's more of a UI, right? Like that's more of a
Sure.
structure. So it's actually quite surprising to me that people would only want to focus on that and
yeah.
not other UIs in adventure games.
I would, and I'll say this. This is an interesting thing. I think Roses, me and you would talk about Zelda on this show. We would
Yeah,
talk
for
about,
sure.
say, an Uncharted game on the show. Like
Yeah.
those are not off limits if one of us were to play one, or if me and you were to be discussing one and be both interested in playing one for an episode.
Mhm.
I assume we'll have a Zelda episode at some point. But I'll say this: they're not on our ranking every adventure game of all time
Right.
list of
Well, you're
potentials.
wrong. You're wrong
They're
then.
just not there because
Uncharted 4 had better be on there.
do you know what? But do you know why? It's
Don't tell me
because
because it's not an adventure.
I pulled them from the database of your editor, the editor of your website, Jack Allen's old website,
Mhm.
adventuregamers.com. I
Yep.
pulled the entire that's where the list comes from.
Oh, so it is like a man-generated, like man-made generated, like almost
over
user.
over
Yeah.
decades, yeah.
Yeah.
And they were a little more strict about action adventure games. So I
Okay.
might at some point want to go through and add in some of the adventure leaning action adventure games
Yeah.
to that list, so they might come up randomly as we go through and rank every adventure game ever made.
I think
And
there's
you
like
got to remember.
merit. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say you got to remember too that adventure gamers, that list that was made, it all started so many years ago.
Yeah.
Like there are so
Mhm.
many more subgenres of adventure, and like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to King's Quest, a precedent had been set,
Yeah.
and so it just continued to follow that precedent.
Yeah.
And Jack and I, when we decided to put the websites together, we made a long and hard decision as to. We talked for a long time to figured out how exactly we want to approach that, and we both agreed that that type of narrow-minded thinking, and I don't mean that in any like derogatory way,
Mhm.
but that could have an effect on killing the industry
Yeah.
in the long run. And towards the end of Adventure Gamers' heyday, I guess you could say, Jack, being the editor, like decided to go away from all that. And we mentioned Portal. Portal is heavily. You mentioned Portal,
Mhm.
heavily on like our adventure game radar. L.A. Noir.
Oh, I
Those
love LA
are those.
Noir. I love LA Noir.
Yeah,
I have
and
personally reviewed action like puzzle platformers
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
Jack at both websites.
Mhm.
And I
So
think there is merit to saying like, and don't get me wrong, we're answering this question because obviously genres matter, categorization matters, those things matter. But when I was doing more gaming and I was getting, hate for veering from some different sorts of adventure games, like I was veering into quote walking simulators, which by the way, Matt and I have said we use that lovingly. We like walking sims. We consider them adventure games.
I like the term. I think
Yeah.
it's funny.
I like the term, too,
and
yeah.
I think it's funny, and
It
I
is not
think it's
derogatory. I don't care what anybody says. That's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
derogatory.
I think people
Yeah.
tried to make it like insulting, but then we kind of like usurped it. But there were
yeah.
people
We were like, we love these.
yeah, there were people like genuinely angry that they would be categorized as an adventure game. And at one point I said in one of my videos, I'm like, look, categorization does matter, but how much does it matter? Because if you're an adventure gamer, like an old school point and click,
Mhm.
this is the same audience that's playing Walking Simulator. It is the same audience, man.
And I get it, because you're a fan, like, if you're a fan of one of these, this, like, maybe dying, well, it's not dying, but at one point it was, and the point and click genre really, the point and click subgenre of adventure game really kind of fell out of favor for a while. And so if you're a fan and you just want more games like that, and then you look in any, if you look in the Steam library or the Nintendo Switch store, and you're clicking on adventure, all you see is action adventures. So I get being a fan and wanting to have a stricter definition just so you can find more of what you like. But also, like, you'll probably like some of these other games if you check them out.
Exactly,
they have all the same stuff.
No, that is my point. It's like, no. If you like adventure games, you're probably playing these games too. They hold hands.
And if you're not, you should try.
Yeah. Well, and when they hear people like you, Roses, you kind of had you were the torchbearer in many ways when it comes to the platform in adventure games, and they could possibly feel that you not covering the games that they are so nostalgic and passionate for could have been indirectly doing damage to what they love. It's not a reasonable take. It's one that I get all of the time, like legitimately. And this is something that Jack and I just talked about on one of our shows. I get bullied. Like I wasn't necessarily bullied in school. I kept a low profile. I get bullied by adventure gamers. People
I hear
who
it. I hear
are
you.
very proud to be open and flexible when it comes to who they all rights, yada yada. But I get bullied because I promote other types of games.
Yeah.
However, when it comes down to it, if you look at what a lot of these popular games from the late 90s, if there are any adventure game publishers, developers, or anything that were there in the 90s during the golden era, what kind of games are they making right now? It's not us that are doing, we're just reporting and covering the games that as they evolve, because almost all of those games, sometimes to the detriment, sometimes to the benefit, they understand that they have to change, because we as a society have changed. We've been programmed to need things immediately. We're programmed to get something to move around. We're not tethered, to a setting or something, and we're just not patient anymore. So if those of us who were back then, what happens when we pass away? If we just keep doing like the kids aren't necessarily going to jump into them. Like I look at the numbers every single day. And I know what's popular. I know what's not popular. I know the demographics. And proof is in the pudding, essentially.
Right. Well, I think I think we have very comprehensively answered that question. Hey, Josh.
Yes, I love Broken Sword. That's my favorite adventure game of all time.
Okay, I'm glad we got that out of the way.
Okay, that's all we wanted to ask. Josh, you want to stick around and answer some other listener questions with us?
Yeah, why not? Sure.
Okay, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Let's move on to a question from Philip Q. He says,
You're already
um,
laughing.
point and click protagonists tend to have the ends justify the means attitude to solving their problems. Do you have any favorite examples of protagonists being complete a-holes?
Oh yeah.
Their example is in Excavation of Hobb's Barrow, when you break into a lighthouse and stop it from rotating, endangering the entire coast, so that you can bounce a light via a mirror onto a cave wall a couple of kilometers
Listen, we needed to do that puzzle to win the game. The stakes were high.
You guys, so what are your guys' favorite assholes and point and click adventure games?
Oh, can I jump on this grenade first?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah. First of all, Rufus from the Deponia series.
Oh my!
F that guy.
Yeah.
First of all, he sells someone into slavery.
Yes.
So that's not good. And this person that he sells into slavery is of African descent.
One of only 3 in the entire series.
Oh my god!
And he sells it to someone who a character who is making gorilla type of effects. I mean,
What?
screw that guy. Yeah.
There
and that is to progress. You have to do it. We make you an asshole.
And this is the thing about Deponia, right? All right, I'm going to go off. I don't think we've talked about it on this show, but this is the thing about Deponia. A lot of people will go, okay, well, Rufus isn't supposed to be likable. He's supposed to be an asshole. And so, like, if you think he's a jerk, that's the point of the game. But no, I think the fucking creators are assholes, right? Because there's 3 black characters in Deponia, right? One of which fucking Rufus will not accept the fact that this character is not a monkey.
Holy shit.
Another of which you sell into slavery.
Mm-hmm.
That's
the third
insane.
of which is like a major character, and I guess there's a few more because you meet his family at some point, but that third character is a perfectly fine portrayal. But like, that is not just Rufus being an asshole, which he is.
Yeah.
That is like, that is the creators of the game only thinking of making a character black when those 2 things are the scenarios.
Right.
Well,
right.
and those creators, they created Gollum, so.
Yeah, there's nothing funnier to me than what happened with the Gollum game, especially because I already had that opinion of them, and then the Gollum game happened, and I was like, okay, well, now you and society are even. now I can feel a little bad for you because your entire company was ruined when you made the worst game of all time.
Oh my god! And that was rant time with
one?
Matt.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Man, my answer is not nearly as juicy, unfortunately. But I think it's good. I think my example is good because it's not quite on the level of the Deponia character. I would say Gabriel Knight. I would say he's an asshole easily.
For sure.
Yeah, he has very little regard for other people. He's mildly sexist. But I also
mildly sexist, but overtly sexy.
Yes. Very honestly, yes. Dean Erickson, shout out to Beast Within, man. I love that game. And actually, I didn't think the character of Gabriel Knight was as of a dick in The Beast Within. I think they made some changes to that. But the original Gabriel Knight, kind of an asshole, honestly. But I do feel differently about that than Deponia. I feel that at least in Gabriel Knight, we have Grace, who is a firecracker, at least calling him out and saying this is not right. I don't know if they do that in the Deponia games or not. I don't know if these characters are called out or if things are done for humor, deftly. But yeah, at least in Gabriel Knight, people don't tolerate him as much as I think other asshole characters are tolerated.
Right.
Yeah, she just straight up walked out. Like, goodbye. Like, I'm not down. I'm not dealing with this. Goodbye. Yeah. I need Grace back in my life. Give me
I
Grace on my
love Grace.
floor.
I love Grace. I love her. I love Leah Remini's voice for Grace. I love the whole cast of Gabriel Knight. That's not related to the question, but I do love that casting.
All right. Do you want to do another email, Roses?
I see there is a question for you, Matt, about the play date.
Oh, okay. Josh. So, Josh, have you played the Playdate? Have you used the Playdate?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not, but it looks interesting. It would probably hold my attention for at least a couple days.
Well, okay. I'll address it pretty quick then. So Philip Q asks about the Playdate. He says, now that I have had it for a little while, and I've tried a bunch of games. What are my overall thoughts on the form factor? So about it, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a small sort of Game Boy Micro size and form function little console with the added thing of it's got an internet connection. It has a accelerometer and whatever that thing is that which way it's tilting. It knows which way it's tilting. Gyroscope, and it has a crank. And the crank is
all of us attention deficit disorder people will adore. But...
Yes. So, and some things that Philip points out is that it's cute and fun to have in your hand. They could have used an extra button or two, like start and select, because there's only really like a home button. And says like things like handling stats and inventory are a little complex. And the fact that there's no touch screen, they think is a big omission. So
that's the charm of this thing, though, isn't it?
I think so too. Mm-hmm. I think the charm of it is in its simplicity. I could have used like a start button. The fact that I never know if the home button is going to take me out of the game, or it's just going to bring up like a side menu, or is going to bring up like the pause menu. That is a little frustrating. But I think the crank, criminally underutilized. There's some games that use it really well. For example, in Root Bear, really great use of the crank. You are a bear. Or no, you are not a bear. You are filling up a glass of root beer for a bear at a bar. And there's like a fill line, and you have to like balance between how much is going to be foam and how much is going to be liquid. And you're turning the crank one direction to unleash the root beer, and the other direction to turn off the spigot.
I like that. That feels like it would be very satisfying to do.
It is very satisfying to do. It is very frustrating when you get it wrong, and the bear is is your barometer for that. When you get it right, the bear is so fucking stoked. And when you get it wrong, he makes like a meh face at you. That's really disappointing.
Aww.
And if you overfill it, the bear loses his fucking mind.
Every time I've ever given a bear something, he's always been angry. If he's happy at all, I feel like I've accomplished something.
I also like when it uses the crank to when a game uses the crank to cycle through inventory, or to zoom in and zoom out is another cool usage of the crank. To balance something is a great usage of the crank.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's so much more that it could have been used for, and maybe it will. I just read that a season 2 of included games is going to come out on the Switch in the next year. So that's the Switch, the Playdate. I apologize.
So that's the Switch too, huh?
Right. Wow.
I do think it can get a little uncomfortable in the hands being so small. It's cool that you can just carry it around in any pocket, right? I love that form factor.
Great for church.
Right. Using I think like Bluetooth would have been a great addition. If I could have if I could use Bluetooth headphones with it, would be a lot better than plugging in, corded earbuds to the bottom of it, because as it is, when I'm out in public, I just don't have the sound on, and sometimes
Right.
the sound is really cool.
Yeah.
So that's a bummer. And I will tell you what the biggest bummer is, and this is also, I teased this in the beginning segment. This is one of the reasons why I haven't reviewed games in a while. The biggest bummer to the Playdate is it is incredibly fragile, which I found out when it fell the very brief distance from
No.
my desktop to my floor,
No.
and it landed on its corner, and now there is a whole like quarter of the screen that is just black.
No.
Oh, that's tainted. You can't ever play that again, or at least someone like me. It wouldn't work for me
It's-
ever again. I'd
there's
even if I could see 90% of the screen,
Yeah.
I will constantly be looking at that 10% of the black screen. Oh,
Yeah.
that's rough.
And there is something cool where for developers, and this works for players too, they have created a virtual console that you can use if you have a Playdate account. So there's some games, only side-loaded games, none of the catalog games.
Right.
But the side-loaded games I can play on a virtual console on my computer.
That's
because
cool.
I have an account when you need the console to play to use the account. But yeah, like it is incredibly hard now and sometimes impossible to play catalog games, and to repair this Playdate, it's like $125.
No.
So and I'm
feel
good
like-
with small electronics. I could swap out the screen myself, but they don't sell the ports individually, and because it is so proprietary, nothing else uses this screen. So I need to either pay $125, buy a whole new one, or just deal with a broken Playdate. So that is my biggest complaint with the Playdate, is how how fragile it is and how unfriendly it is about the level of fragile it is.
You got this for free, didn't you?
Yes.
You got to play it. Yeah.
And I'm really grateful to the listener who bought it for me, and I'm trying to still review as many Playdate games as I can with it broken, and I probably will at some point, pay to get it replaced, or the screen replaced, because again, I'm very grateful to the listener, and I do not want to let them them and other listeners down. But it's just a really frustrating thing. Like, I reached out to their help desk, and they were like, it's $125, and there's no other solution, and it's really a bummer.
Roses, I think that you and I need to say the things and the games that we want more. What do you think, Roses? Would you like a play date? That would be awesome. Joshua at Adventure Game Hotspot would like the upcoming Switch, the Switch 2. Just
Switch
planting
2.
those seeds, everybody.
I could use a new microphone. I just love microphones, you guys. I love collecting microphones.
Cash also. Love that stuff.
Love money.
All right. Roses, why don't you give us another question? Why don't you read Mike's question?
Okay. Yes, this is from Mike. He says he hopes the question is interesting. If you could swap two protagonists from any adventure game, what would be the craziest swap you can think of? His example is taking Sam and Max and putting them in the Grim Fandango universe.
How would Sam and Max handle
they wouldn't. They would.
How delicate you would have to be to somebody who just died. They're like, Mac, you're dead.
Hear me out. I want to put King Graham, like King's Quest V era King Graham, in anything modern, because clearly these games they're supposed to be they're supposed to be in an older time, right? I don't quite know when, maybe medieval times. I'm not really sure. So I just want to put him in a very modern setting, like Broken Sword. I want to put King Graham in Broken Sword so he can talk to people like just a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
Like, will you trade me for this marionette? I just want to see how that would go.
My lady?
My lady?
I'd like a mint, please.
Do you have Josh? What do you have one, or do you need a little more time to think? Because I think I have.
yeah, this was. I'd like to put April Ryan and replace her and put him into Elaine Marley's spot because she ain't gonna put up with that crap like Elaine does.
Nice.
Like, yeah, Elaine, she's a tough girl, yes, but she's also gushy for the gushy, like he kind of like falls ass backwards into the lovey, the treasure
Oh, yeah.
trove, like her treasure trove. And I don't think that's going to happen with April Ryan and the dynamic there. Yeah.
Nice.
But in a more serious one, and I'll jump back into our earlier conversation about what is an adventure game.
Yeah.
I want to see Indiana Jones take out Sophia Hapgood, I think was her name.
Hapgood, yeah.
Hapgood. And let's just throw Laura Croft in there.
Nice.
And just have like the two
power
adventure
couple.
Boom.
Power.
Yeah.
He would.
Yeah, let's go.
She could do all the shooting for him, while he just solves the puzzles and does the
Or he'll
adventure,
just sucker punch.
and she'll just like fucking crush every Nazi. I would take Guybrush Threepwood and put him in any serious adventure. Like imagine Guybrush Threepwood in Nightmare Frames, or in like Guybrush Threepwood in like
Gabriel Knight, like have him figure out like a crime procedural.
Or Excavation of Hobb's Barrow.
Oh god, yeah.
Just like have him just like be completely terrified and so confused by everything that's going on, and just like I just imagine him facing like true horrors and just running away constantly, and people having to like coax him back into the adventure. Be like, oh, well, you kind of have
like,
to.
Is that town drunk that's hitting on her at first? Like, hey,
you kind of
up
got
in the drag a little too much,
You kind of got to solve your dad's murder, Guybrush, and he's like, I don't want to. Or like him in Mist, and he's just completely baffled, and he just gives up and just starts like playing around on the beach with like building sandcastles. You can't win.
Like if you were playing as Guybrush in Mist, it is unwinnable. You cannot beat it.
Are we talking about Mist or Fuck Mist edition?
What's the Fuck Mist edition?
I was hoping that that Sarah would remember, and that would make a little bit of a jokesy regarding our adventure game Hall of Fame scenario.
I'm sorry, I don't remember. I'm sick and I'm fog-brained, but I do agree with the sentiment of Fuck Mist.
So when we were all trying to figure out the games that are going in the Hall of Fame, like, I think I just kind of did. Like we threw Mist out there, and Sarah's like, yeah, definitely deserves to have its credit, but F Mist.
No, that sounds right. That does sound correct. And I stand by it. I will die on this hill.
I have another one for this swapping protagonists, and it is to put the Duck Detective in also any serious mystery.
Yeah.
Right, like put Duck Detective in like what's like a very serious mystery game? What's a mystery game that's like
Black Dahlia?
Okay, yeah, put Duck Detective, and he's just like, hey, I'm here. What do you guys got going on here? And they're like, somebody's been murdered. And he's like trying to crack jokes. And he's like, this is a little bit over my. I'm in a little bit of deep water here.
Oh my god, the puns.
This whole thing is quackers to me.
The full like FMV her story with Duck Detective.
With Duck Detective, like, she's her own sister. This is getting a little too crazy for me.
I feel like we can use Al Lowe as a character since he's in 4 or 5. Can we make Al Lowe the Want Some Rye? Course you do guy, because I'm pretty sure it already is him anyway.
From Zork? Is that Zork?
From Return to Zork, yeah.
Yeah.
Want some rye? Course you do.
Yeah, I don't think it would change very much is the thing. I think that's like
exactly.
We just want to put our friends in video games.
Yeah, all right, put me in any game. Any game. Any game, that's now I'm in it.
You are Guybrush Threepwood.
I was
The
just gonna
cast
say
is
that.
that.
I'm like, no, you're pretty much Guybrush Threepwood.
I should have seen that coming. All right, let's move on to another question. Josh, do you have time for, say, 2 more questions?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Suppose this is from Nick. Suppose a movie studio bought the rights to adapt your favorite adventure game. You're the casting director. Who would you cast to play the characters in your favorite game?
Oh,
Nick would also.
heck yeah! This is my favorite conversation like in the world. I don't care if I'm at a bar where there's sports going on. Dude, people could be headbutting, high-fiving. I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter the worst setting. Like, you talk about this, and I am in video game protagonists. And I don't want to pump my channel or anything, but I did a bunch of these from Monkey Island and George and Broken Sword and all that. Broken Sword for sure.
Okay.
Chris Pine is going to be
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. I got that. Tracks.
No, I love that. That's brilliant.
Do you have who else do you have?
Day of the Tentacle. Bernard, we cast. You ever watch the show or Gotham, the Penguin character in the television show Gotham?
I have
Can't
not.
think of what his name is. I mean, it looks like him. He has the same gait, like everything about him. That is Bernard from Day of the Tentacle.
Nice.
Okay. Well, do you have any other cast for Broken Sword besides Chris Pine?
Oh yeah, I've got them. Them
oh,
all,
you did a whole.
When I first started the channel, it was like 3 years ago. Like
okay, so we'll just go. We'll go. Yeah.
Nico is gosh, what's her name from that '70s show? Mila Kunis.
Mila Kunis.
Okay.
Something. Mostly just because I want to see a movie with Mila Kunis because I love her. You know.
Roses, do you have? Nick really wanted to know what your Laura Bow fan casting.
Oh Lord, can I even? I don't know if I even could.
They're Dagger of Amon Ra. Who is who?
Dagger. So let's see. For Laura, it's gotta be a very bubbly type. Somebody who plays a bubbly type. Mm-hmm. It sounds insane, but bear with me. I feel that Reese Witherspoon could do it. I feel like she could do it.
Yeah, okay.
Because she was so good as that bubbly, smart person in Legally Blonde, right? And that's kind of what you get in Dagger of Amon Ra. You get a bubbly but very smart female character.
And like if Tracy Flick from Election was a little bit less of an asshole. Sorry I said Election. See? I'm sorry I said Election. I'm sorry I said Election on today, November 5th. I'm sure that is just sent shivers through both of your spines. But she played, Tracy Flick, but less of an asshole. That could totally be Laura Bow.
See, I think that works out. But like the hardest cast, who could be cast as Pippin Carter? Like, what about the guy? I'm blanking on his name, and I can't believe it. The guy who plays Sherlock, Benedict
Cumberbatch. Well, I can we like jump through space and time for this?
Yeah,
because I would say. You're right. Who's gonna tell me no? I would say Clark Gable as Pippin Carter.
Not bad. Not bad.
Right? I mean, I have a feeling he's slightly based on that anyway. But like, I could totally see Clark Gable in that role, and for more reasons than just the mustache.
For sure. What about one more? What about Yvette Delacroix?
Sabrina Carpenter.
Oh my God! That's so good.
Isn't it good? And she's such a modern like version of that character. I see when I think Yvette, I think of Blanche Devereaux from
that
Golden
is good.
Girls. Yeah, but like obviously it would have to be the younger version of of like a Blanche Devereaux type. Yeah.
Well, who would be the boyfriend?
Steve Dorian.
Steve Dorian.
Who knows? Some idiot. I hate Steve.
Who's like
that guy.
Who's like kind of like a big dumb jock type in today's like media?
I think
So that
Chris
would be
Hemsworth
Channing
could play
Tatum?
him. Oh,
Oh my
Channing
god!
Tatum!
Two fucking great. So,
Yeah.
or I got another one. Travis Kelce, the
gosh,
football
yeah.
player.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
throw him in there.
Just throw
as
him
like,
in.
because he doesn't need to do much. All
You
right,
don't have to be intelligent.
so if we're doing favorite games, and I'm sorry, listeners, I'm sorry this is so based around just straight up classic point and clicks today, but we have Josh Cleveland on, so
Yeah, I
you
think
probably
that's
had to
what people
expect
want it.
we were going to lean into classics for this
Yeah.
episode. But so I'm gonna cast Monkey Island, right? Because
Yeah.
absolute favorite. And I think I would go a lot of alt comedians. Because I feel like there's just so much in Monkey Island that's still funny and that could be really mined by people who are kind of undermining the premise. So like for Guybrush himself, I'm going to say Chris Gethard. There's kind of a sad sack element to Guybrush Threepwood, but also just like a silly and kind of like not fourth wall breaking, but like kind of subversive comedy element to him.
Yeah.
And okay, this is a little more wild, but for Stan, I'm gonna go Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, that is that's actually one of our runners up on our video. You got to go with me. It's Army of Darkness guy for Stan. I can't think what his name is.
Oh, Bruce Campbell.
Right.
Bruce Campbell.
I could
see that.
Or Pham. What's his last? Phamm. The guy from. You know what I'm talking about? Tommy Pham or something?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then I take it all back. Never mind.
Take it all back.
But it's really good. I promise you that.
I would throw Maya Rudolph in as Elaine Marley.
Like a younger version.
Yeah. Maya Rudolph, Elaine Marley. I think she has the range and the temperament to pull it off. I think she could go back and forth between sweet and saccharine and tough and rude, right? Like I think she could just jump back and forth between the two. And then
Danny Trejo as LeChuck.
Oh my god, what a good I was gonna go. This is again. I was leaning towards like comedians for this. So Danny Trejo is a great idea, but LeChuck, I was gonna go Bob Odenkirk.
That's funny.
That's really funny. Wouldn't he be like if you threw him in? Like you'd have to add a dimension to LeChuck, but I could absolutely see a LeChuck played by Bob Odenkirk with Bob Odenkirk's voice.
Yeah,
and that sort of confident with a underpinning of sadness, especially if you're going like Return of Monkey Island, right? Return to Monkey Island, when Guybrush and LeChuck both have this like pathetic old man sadness to them, and I really love the idea. Like obviously Chris Gethard is much younger, but obviously I love the idea of putting both of them like in those roles and having just like this underpinning of like, oh, this is a little bit sad. These guys are goofy and capable, but also like a little sad.
All right, now I've got a good question for you when it comes to Monkey Island.
Yeah.
Who would you cast as Legrand?
Largo Legrand. Oh, this is almost based just on looks. But I'm going to stay in the alt comedian thing and say, oh my God, why can't I think of his name? Oh my God! I saw him not that long ago.
Give me a hint. Give us a hint.
On Todd Barry.
Todd Barry.
I'd go Todd Barry as Largo Legrand. If we were, what's that?
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
If we were stepping away from the alt, because I could see putting. Well, no. Because I was thinking if we put a tough guy as Largo Legrand, it doesn't quite work because Largo Legrand shows up as a tough guy, but he spends the whole game getting clowned.
I've got the real answer here, though. You ready for it?
Yeah.
All right. Buckle your safety belts because we're
Okay.
going to crash this car right now. The grumpy gamer himself, Ron Gilbert.
Ron Gilbert as Largo Legrand. Okay. I guess I could see that.
I can see it. Yeah, no, I can see it for sure.
Oh man, who's the girl from Superbad? She'd be my Elaine Marley. I can't think what her name is right now. The name escapes me. The red-haired girl.
The red-haired girl from Superbad.
She's
Emma
got
Stone.
Emma Stone. Emma Stone. Oh, that's
the fire, the spunk for it.
I like that. Actually, I think that's a really good suggestion.
It's funny to me that your reference for Emma Stone after like she has had this incredible career trajectory since Superbad, and you're like, that girl from Superbad? Not the girl who won like Academy Awards and who won like Oscars for all her other roles, but no, she's in Superbad.
Well, the other one I was going to say is Scarlet Letter.
Right? Oh, you mean it's not called Scarlet Letter though. What is it called? Easy A.
I don't know.
Easy A,
Yeah.
based on the Scarlet Letter. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
I get
yeah.
a child. I'm a big child.
All right. Let's do one more question and then we'll say goodbye to Josh. And Josh, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yeah, thank you for answering questions.
Is there anything we're gonna do one more question, but why don't we? Is there anything you want to promote while you're here? Anything you want to send? Any place you want to send people to?
Nope. Let's go.
Right.
That's what I always say too. I'm like,
This is
nah.
your show.
Okay, Roses, you want to read the last question?
Sure do. This question comes from Agnes, and they ask, my question is, what is your opinion on note-taking in games, as in getting a physical piece of paper and pen to solve a puzzle? And personally, they don't care for it, but a lot of people do really seem to love to still do that. So do you guys take notes when you play certain adventure games?
Not in 25 years.
Oh, wow. I still take
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah. No, I think one of the best innovations of adventure games are when they actually have in-game notes
Yes.
that you can add your notes, especially in like detective games and that. But the only game I really the era that I stopped was the Maze era,
Yeah.
where we didn't have
Fair.
the internet to quickly run and put us out of our misery, where we actually had to track screens. So like the King's Quest V era, I remember. Oh, that was fun for me though. Like I had a grid paper out and all that. Those are good times back then, but not since then.
I think I like taking notes when I'm clearly doing it for fun and not because I absolutely need to. Otherwise, I'm never going to keep track of this. So just as a very quick example, sometimes when I'm playing Stardew Valley, even though there's, you catalog things within that game, there are times where I still take physical notes and I like it. And I don't need to. I just like it. I just like, writing down who loves what gift, for example. And it's really not because I need to. It's because I want to. Like I feel compelled to engage more with the game as I'm playing it.
I do the same thing in Stardew Valley. In non-adventure games, I do it a lot when it's like, all right, these are especially games where there's like a completionist element to it, like Metroidvanias or RPGs, where I'm like, okay, these are the things I still need to do. I need to, and like I write down a little to-do list. Sometimes I'll write down like the components I need to build something, or the like you said, like who likes what gift.
Well, I did take a few notes for Death of the Reprobate.
Me too.
Yeah,
I bet in the same spot.
I bet we did.
There's a puzzle in Death of the Reprobate that is math based, and it is absolutely absurd. Like there's a point where the character even says like, "Are you serious about this?" And the other character's like, "Yeah, we are."
Yep.
And you have to take notes and you have to get it right for the characters to say, we're just kidding. It's all random. but you have to get it right before they'll do that. I think I didn't get it wrong
You
enough
can
times.
you can
but...
also keep yelling. You can also be like, "This is absurd," and you can forego it completely.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I took notes in that. I'll say I fucking love taking notes in games. If I have to do any puzzle solving outside of the game, like that's my fucking favorite. Not if I have to Google things. I
Yeah.
was given a game to review not that long ago, earlier this year, that was all about like you didn't even know it wasn't signposting the puzzles. You knew there was a puzzle, but you had no idea how to solve it. And when I looked up the walkthrough, it was all like Googling different stuff and going to like the developer's website and it was really fucking weird, and I hated that. But when it is like I have to sit down and think about everything that I encountered and push it around on a piece of paper and really untangle it, I love that shit. A recent example of that is Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. And I'll post this on I posted it on I think Threads or something when I finished the game, but I'll post it on our Instagram with it. This episode comes out. My pages of notes on Lorelei and the Laser Eyes are so fucking insane.
Good
They
Lord.
are just, they look like, okay, if I were ever accused of a crime, they would be used as evidence against me. Like, clearly this man is psychotic because look at this.
Do you have like, are you taking notes in like multiple personalities as well? Are you actually the embodiment of the character that you are playing?
Yeah,
I-
what kind
I
of notes
might
are
as
you
role
taking?
actor?
I might as well have been. These look like they're from the fucking Zodiac Killer. They're so wild. And it was so fun. That was such a fun gaming experience. And looking back, like I'm looking through them right now, and it's just a series of numbers and shapes and a maze and like different colored pencils and shit. Because I'm like, oh, I took a note here, but I wanna indicate which of these things to pay attention to in which circumstance. It's just really indecipherable unless maybe even if you've played the game.
You know, it feels like since I got in this side of the business that my priorities have adjusted, and it's a real shame because now I play games to, okay, this is a cool point, this is a talking point I can talk about or make a video about or something, and it's not the same. I don't feel like I'm playing games anymore, and I'm sure that's for another discussion or another conversation. I thought, hey, I have access to all of these incredible games. Well, first of all, no, I don't get any of the good games. We give them to you guys, like our reviewers, and so but the ones that I actually do end up playing, I feel like I'm always just taking notes for talking points. And that's a shame.
That's another thing I was gonna say. You're dead on. Is that I also take notes on every game I play now, just for reviews, for whether it's a written review, which I don't do as often anymore, or whether it's for the show. Basically every game I play gets a page of notes on my little steno pad.
I have notes that I still have for everything I've ever reviewed on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I have entire notebooks of notes for everything you've ever seen. I have notes for.
Yeah.
And I cherish them. I cherish those notebooks.
So you have like physical notebooks, like Dear Diary.
Yeah, they're physical.
For reals. Oh, that's cool.
What if it was an entire notebook for every game? So you play like Death of the Reprobate, it's 3 hours, and you have an entire front to back, full on college ruled
I explain everything I am ever doing. I'm like pointed over here, clicked. Okay.
Yeah. It's like
this is how I felt about this in this scenario.
Yeah. Here's how I would have felt if I were a different person. Here's how I would have felt if I played the game underwater.
Gabriel
I
Knight
stopped here to take a bathroom break. All right.
Here's
I'm in
how
the bathroom
the
now.
break went.
Yeah, exactly.
Gabriel Knight really offended me when he was acting sexist in this part.
For real. No,
I
I
am totally
I do
too.
have a lot of notes though. Like they are, like I said, they're notes on everything I've ever done.
Yeah.
So I have at least 5 full, front page to back page notes. I thought about auctioning them off for charity if anyone's like interested in my process.
All right. Well, Josh, thank you so much for coming on and answering questions with us. It was
Hold on, let's go back here. I want to hear
yeah.
more about these notes. I actually would like to see one of these notebooks.
Okay.
Like, I think that would actually make for a really good YouTube video. Like,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
let's go through Pushing Up Roses circa 2003 notebook on a day. Like,
2003. I have them dating back at least 13 years ago. So I will, you know what I'll do? I will take a few pictures of my notebooks and I'll put them on Twitter for all the viewers if you want to see. They're
Very
riddled
cool.
with drawings.
Sounds
so
fun.
And I will also put my I'm also gonna put my Lorelei and the Laser Eyes
do it.
notebook
Hmm.
on.
Don't do it on Twitter. I don't know if I'm going to be on Twitter anymore.
No,
I'll
I'm
put it
gonna
everywhere.
do it on. I'll put
It
it
depends
on.
on
I'll
how
put it on
tonight
our-
goes. Like, I might just be off Twitter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true, yeah.
I'll definitely put it on Instagram because
We'll
that's
put it
where
on
you're supposed to put. You're supposed to put photos on Instagram.
All right.
I want to tell you guys, I love you all in a weird way.
Thanks.
Like, for real.
Thank you.
Like, really,
Thank
really.
you.
We love you too.
The feeling is mutual.
And we will talk to you soon. Josh, thank you. Roses,
Hi.
I want to quick run down a list of our recommendations with you. We've got, every time we do one of these segments, we get a ton of recommendations.
That's true.
People like, hey, check these games out. Have you ever heard of this game? You like this game? Maybe you like this one. So I'm going to run, I made a list. So we're not going to read all your individual emails, but everybody who sent one in, thank you so much. And we'll say whether we've played them, whether we haven't played them, whether we're interested in playing them, all that stuff. All right.
Okay, hit me.
We're rapid fire. The Many Pieces of Mr. Coup.
No.
No, but it looks kind of interesting. It's cute and cartoony. The Dark Side Detective.
Yes, love it.
Yeah, it's great. It's so funny, and I haven't gotten too far into the sequel, but the first game's great.
Yeah.
Lydia.
No, but I own it, actually.
Oh.
Somebody gifted me Lydia. Yeah.
I don't know of it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, somebody says the Sakaban games. Do you know what those are?
I don't.
It's just it's a Japanese category of games for those box pushing puzzle games.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I'm not familiar at
I
all.
remember playing like Box Boy on a Game Boy when I was a kid, but I haven't played them in a long time. They specifically mention a game called Isles of Sea and Sky. Say it's unlike most Sakaban games. This one is open world and non-linear, and the art style definitely reminds me of Link's Awakening. That sounds interesting. It might be worth checking out. The one other one I'll point out, I don't know if it's technically a Sakaban game, but I played it a little bit, was a game released earlier this year. It'll just take me a second to find it because I can't remember what it was called. I know it's in here somewhere. I'm just digging through my... Arranger. Role puzzling adventure, which has like a really strong story, and it's like everywhere you moves that entire like everything's on a grid,
right?
And every direction you moves that entire line of the grid in that direction. So if you're moving left and right, the entire left and right shifts with you. If you're moving up and down, the entire up and down of that grid shifts.
Yeah.
So items that are in that path move with you, and you got to solve puzzles that way. It's cute. I think I would get tired of it playing it for too long, but anyway.
Sure.
Okay, Tactical Breach Wizards. No. I've heard of this. It's like a strategy game, came out this year. It's supposed to be really charming. People think it, and very funny, but I haven't played it. Silent Hill 2 Remake.
No, too scary.
I've never played a Silent Hill.
Too scary. And too scary.
Too scary. Okay. Cat Cafe Manager.
No, but want very badly.
Yeah, I mean, that one I think we have to pause for a second and look up. Cat Cafe Manager.
I think I need that.
We got to slow down the rapid fire to look
You
at it.
told me to rapid fire.
I know, but we have to look up Cat Cafe
That's
Manager.
like my strong point as a person is rapid fire.
It's like a simulation.
Oh, it looks
All right,
cute.
we'll have to look into Cat Cafe Manager.
It looks cute.
Kuala Lumpur Journey to the Edge. Not like Kuala Lumpur, like
lump.
Spelled Kuala Lumpur.
Uh-huh.
Spelled koala like the bear and lumpur.
I feel like I know this game. No, I don't. No, I looked it up and I do not know this game. Wait, do I? There's some weird nostalgia
Does
thing
it
happening
take
right now.
place in Malaysia? Like, is it supposed to like take place in Malaysia? I don't know. We'll have to look into that.
I'll have to
but
look
no,
that up. Yeah.
The Demon's Forge.
No.
Normality.
Yes.
I have not. Yeah. No.
Oh God. Yeah. Just very notorious adventure game. Kind of for being called Normality. It's very surreal and strange, and quite frankly annoying. And no, I will not review it. And nobody talk to me.
Would you say is it in the vein of the game I can't remember the name of
with the grandma
game? Yeah.
It's lesser. It's more tame than that. Yeah.
Okay, somebody we were talking one time about the Muppet there's no Muppet adventure games, and they pointed out that there is a Muppet Treasure Island game.
Okay.
That is like one of those it looks like one of those narrative storybooks, like interactive storybooks.
Yeah. I will play that.
I'd play it.
Yeah, I love the Muppets.
2 people asked us about Discworld Noir.
Yes, Discworld Noir is kind of an underrated gem.
Yeah.
They definitely go into a different art style for Noir. It's 3D, but it's a lot of people say it's the best of the Discworld games.
I've heard the same thing. I've never played it, but it's been high on my to-play list for a long time. All right, somebody else asked us, they're surprised that we've never talked about any of the Daniel Mullins games. They specifically mentioned the Hex. But
I don't know that
but
one.
there's also Pony Island and Inscription. Now, Daniel Mullen games, I fucking loved Inscription, and I still sometimes will download and re-download Inscription and play it for a while. It's like a great card game that also has these other elements like escape room elements and these like narrative elements and this ARG kind of wrapped into it. It's really cool. What Daniel Mullins games generally do is they are like very meta, and they are commenting on game design at the same time as they are like legitimately cool games. And oftentimes there's something that basically almost metaphorically or literally inhabits the game that you're playing. Like the game that you are playing is haunted. All of Daniel Mullins' games are awesome, and Pony Island 2 is supposed to be his next game. I don't know when it's scheduled to come out, but it's going to be fucking like, the guy is amazing at making games, and if I would suggest people start with Inscription, because that game is just it's a little less weird than the others, but it's super weird and it's incredibly good. Like, it's the point of the game isn't just the card game, but the card game you could play forever. It's really well done. Okay. Yeah. Keep going. Heroine's Quest.
Yes,
it rules. It's just like
very fun.
Just like Quest for Glory. Quest for Infamy.
Yes.
I started Quest for Infamy. Well, for whatever reason, it feels like the Quest for Glory games, but like every time I start it, I give up like 30 minutes into it. I don't know why.
I think it's because it is like Quest for Glory, but it's not. There's always like a weird, when you do like a fan game, there's always an expectation. And I think that's the risk of doing fan games.
And Heroine's Quest does it so well.
Yeah, sometimes they're amazing. Sometimes they don't reach the expectation that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Tale of Two Kingdoms.
No,
but
it looks weird.
Yeah, but I want to. Murders on the Yangtze River.
No, but my interest is piqued.
Yeah, I think they suggested it as because we were so into Paranorma Site.
I see that. Yeah, I will check it out for sure. I will check that out.
Ripper.
Yes, of course I played Ripper.
I've never played Ripper. I know of it by reputation. Panic
It's
in the go
pretty
ahead.
awful. That's all I have to say. It is what it is.
Panic in the Park.
Nope.
No, another FMV game supposedly that is like looks like of that era, the Night Trap Ripper era.
Yeah.
So somebody asked, the makers of The Last Door also made the Metroidvania game Blasphemous.
Oh, I did not know that, and I have not played it, but looking at screen caps, like, oh yeah. I could see
rules.
that.
It is a great Metroidvania. Well, okay. It's a great Metroidvania in terms of style.
Yeah.
And like it's based around like Catholic iconography in like Spanish, like what is it called? Holy Week in Spain. So it's very, kind of like interesting. This is going to turn into I'm an artist, but anthropologically,
Oh boy.
it's interesting. It's got a lot of interesting cultural shit to it.
Yeah.
But it is just a very bloody, a little bit blocky in terms of like the movement isn't as fluid as some of the better Metroidvanias, but
Sure.
so a little bit blocky of a Metroidvania, but it's beautiful to look at, and it's a great Metroidvania to explore. Blasphemous 2 was also really good, and the DLC for Blasphemous 2 just came out. I got it this weekend. I haven't started it.
Nice.
Okay. Toe Jam and Earl, Back in the Groove.
Yeah, I've played both Toe Jam and Earls.
Well, this is the third Toe Jam and Earl, the remake.
You're right. This is the third one. Nope, I have not played that one. In fact, it kind of went over my radar a little bit. I don't know how. But yeah, no, I haven't played it.
No. I think it's the fourth Toe Jam and Earl, because there was a third one that was 3D that I don't think anyone ever played. Okay. No, but it would be kind of a fun way to play.
I think it would be, yeah.
Okay, Goblins.
The Goblin games. Definitely a Matt game and not a Rose's game.
I know they're very puzzle based, but they're like old school puzzle based where it's like lemmings, right?
Yes, yeah. I am not a fan of. I have played all of the Goblins games. I'm not a fan of. Yeah, I've played them, and I'm not a fan of them. But I really, really wanted to get into Woodruff and the Schnivel, which is not a Goblins game, but it's in the same like style, and it's like the same developer. And that was more of an adventure game. But I tried to play it, and it didn't. I don't know. It just didn't age well. I guess not in a problematic way, just in a way that I didn't want to play it. So I'm actually not a fan of the cocktail games. Sorry, I'm just really bad at them.
Okay. The Prophecy. Ween the Prophecy.
No, I'm not familiar with that one.
I assume it has to do with the band Ween. Does it?
I don't know. No, probably not.
I don't know either. Well,
right?
What else would? Yeah. What else would?
It's short for Weenus.
Oh no, there's a wizard in the game named Ween. I always assumed it was a game made by Ween. Okay, so you remember when Anamanaguchi released a game, like an album, but as a game, and you like explored the game and found tracks and played them.
That's cool. I like that. No, I'm not. I actually didn't know that.
It was really cool. But yeah, I think it was. I just Googled it. I think it's called Capsule Silence.
Okay.
Unless I am looking at it wrong.
Dude, idea. We should do a podcast episode about bands or music that went into adventure games. So like Bad Day on the Midway was written and directed by the Residents.
Okay.
Peter Gabriel has a game, I think, called the or Queen. Well, Peter Gabriel does have a game, but Queen has a game, I think, called the
Jesus, what?
Yeah, and like I know like David Bowie was a part of one of those games. Like, yeah, we should do that. I think that'd be really interesting.
So I was just reading Jason Schreier's book Play Nice, and apparently one of the companies that would eventually it was either Blizzard or one of the companies that would merge with Blizzard, and some of the like creative forces behind early Blizzard. There was I think it was Guns N' Roses wanted to make a game.
Nice.
And like they got their choice between, I think it was like a Star Wars game and a Guns N' Roses game, and then something happened where they couldn't do the Guns N' Roses game. And just Googling it right now in the Los Angeles Business Journal, one time Guns N' Roses lead singer Axl Rose sued Activision Blizzard for $20 million.
Oh my god.
So I don't know if it had to do, it was about Guitar Hero, so maybe it was something else. But there was something, I'll have to revisit this anecdote at some other point, because there was something more funny to it. But okay. All right. But anyway, that's why I saw the Ween the Prophecy thing, and I assumed it was the band Ween, and so I wanted to talk about Anamanaguchi, but it's just not.
Oh my god.
Okay, Ghost Trick.
No, but I really did want to play that. I think I just lost track of it because there are so many games to play, and I do a lot of stuff, and I'm an artist. So, you know, I did see those screenshots when it came out, and I am very much interested in it.
Yeah, I would love to play Ghost Trick. It's another Japanese adventure game.
Yeah.
All right, we got two more. Dark Eye, Chains of Satanov, and Dark Eye Memoria.
So I am pleasantly surprised to hear that those were made. I haven't played them, but I have played the original Dark Eye, which is many years ago, which now is a pain in the ass to get running. It's one of those. I think it's Windows, so it is an older Windows game. But the Dark Eye was an adventure game based on the Tales of Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh.
And it was done in this very interesting art style, almost stop motion-y. But if you look it up, you'll see what I mean. It's very weird and surreal. Characters almost look like puppets. There's a lot of texture in the Dark Eye. And so I've played the original, but I didn't. I'm very interested to see these new ones.
Are these new ones? They are based on?
I think they're only based on. That doesn't mean that like it's the same dev or anything, but I think there might have been influence.
I'll also say we have talked mad shit on Daedalic in this episode, and Daedalic made both Dark Eye games.
Oops, my bad. But I am curious. At the very least, I'm curious, because the Dark Eye is one of those very niche, almost. I mean, it's not well known enough to be a cult classic, but it could be. It could be if it was runnable, if we had a good way to, if it was accessible to your average person who plays adventure games, then I think it would do interesting.
Okay, well, those are our recommendations. We will look into them, as we always kind of look at these things, and sometimes we come back and play a couple of them. So, thank you guys all for the recommendations. That is a ton. We also have just like this massive list from old episodes.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So thank you all for that. And thank you guys for your questions. And thanks to Josh Cleveland for being on. We are part of the Adventure Game Hotspot Network.
What?
Which is owned by Josh Cleveland.
That's true.
And so go check them out, and there's a bunch of other cool shows on the network, including Josh's show. Everybody, you can find us on Instagram, Save Your Game Podcast. You can email us.
Why is that making me laugh? What is wrong with me?
You can email us, mattandroses@gmail.com. What else can people do? You can tune in next week.
I panicked.
Oh my god! Roses, next week is our Ranking Everything episode.
Yes! Oh, I'm looking forward to it. I love ranking stuff in numerical order.
So I think we're going to probably skip ranking things this episode.
Yes, because we're going to be doing a lot of it.
And but next episode, we're going to do so much ranking. I say we should see, like, we'll do our intro segment, and then let's see how many rankings we can get in an hour.
Oh my god, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, okay.
Watch, we'll be like on game 3 in an hour. We'll have passed like, what the heck happened?
Fuck, we fucked up.
We fucked it up, guys.
But yeah, I think that's it. And hey, I hope we're not living in a dystopian hellscape right now. I hope we have a president who's
Not a criminal.
Not a criminal, who mildly sucks rather than is the worst thing that that a country could possibly face. Like, mildly sucks like a president does, you know? Like, a president's supposed to mildly suck.
Yeah, it's true. Politicians mildly suck. It's just how it is.
A president is not supposed to ruin the world, destroy the whole world. So,
and if it does turn sour, we at Save Your Game are here to hopefully bring you some joy. I hope.
Reporting to you from Canada. All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening, and thank you for your questions and your recommendations. Thanks, Josh. And we'll see you guys next week.
Wait, you forgot to say the end.
I'm so sad right now. I can't. Okay.
I'll say it because Matt is a sad boy. I just want to say that podcast is art and art is suffer.
Politics is suffer.
That is true.
USA is suffer.
#sad boy.